Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we're live on a Thursday on June 10th at 11:35 a.m. and I am changing the title of the stream. I started with this thought. I create these titles about 5 seconds before I start the stream. There's a concept that's on my mind that's more interesting, more broad, more meaningful, and kind of what we talk about on a daily basis. The fact that this market is different. We know this market is different. We've been talking about DeFi for a year and a half at this point. And while the ideology and methodology that I talk about and that, most people that are involved with DeFi know is quite different than historic means of interacting with these crypto assets, um, there's more than that. There's more than just DeFi. There's implications to what this means. So, yeah, of course, we'll talk about DeFi, but I want to talk about the implications of what we're doing. We're doing some very powerful things. We're our own financial services provider. We're our own banking infrastructure. Twitter has become a financial advisor, and I'm a financial planner in many regards. I provide ideology, methodology, analysis, review, opinion. The Discord forum is a forum of financial planning. That's a fascinating concept. Well, I got a half green shirt on today. See the static on my shoulders. Is what it is. We're going to keep the party rolling. Let's dig in. Today's episode of Spot Change Angel, the non-custodial swap exchange for social good. Stop depositing on exchanges, not your keys, not your crypto. Non-custodial DeFi or nothing at all. Bam, let's pop it over to the main screen and see who's in the stream. Cass is in the house. Killis, Miss Hacker, a pleasure. Jarson, yes, winner in training. We are live. All right, so the word is disintermediation. Everything between myself and financial products has been disintermediated. And it's not financial products, sorry, it's financial assets. So if I want to interact with a security, I need to have my bank account. I need to transfer capital to a firm like Fidelity, and they need to facilitate the entire transaction. Now, they don't take cuts. There's no transaction fees anymore in securities, but they are a custodian. Their software it facilitates me interacting with the service. And the point being, there's parties in between my interest in engaging in a transaction and the transaction actually occurring. Whereas that's not the case with DeFi in any regards. Sure, we require banking for fiat management, but my point being is our hardware to manage our digital assets is equivalent to banking infrastructure, and DeFi dApps is not the equivalent of Fidelity. The DeFi dApps are transaction transaction creators. So the dApps create a transaction that are executed on the blockchain. So in most regards, we are interacting directly with the blockchain. So we have completely disintermediated banking infrastructure, brokerage infrastructure, clearinghouse infrastructure, everything. It's completely gone. We are interacting directly peer to peer with decentralized infrastructure. Ethereum is decentralized in almost all meaningful regards. Sure, you could have the argument about centralized hosting, but that could be alleviated. So, in all practical purposes, it is either decentralized or decentralized as need be. Risks aside, separate topic in all regards. Let's keep the party going. Waves in the house. Hope you are well. Thoughts on Tri Crypto pool on Ethereum and Polygon? Yeah, I threw capital on Polygon's Tri Crypto pool. That thing's cranking out yield. That's because Polygon's transaction fees are basically zero. So there's transactions that are multiples of the transaction quantity on Polygon is multiples that of Ethereum. So I have capital on there. It's the only logical thing to do. Capital flows from underperforming opportunities to outperforming opportunities. Now, the significant opportunity in Ethereum for myself is Curve really and Convex, and I've accumulated a decent CVX position, which I've now paired with Ethereum because that pool is generating like 170% yield. It's an enormous amount of transaction fee revenue, coupled with the incentives on providing that liquidity. The yield is extraordinary, and these are the majors. We're not talking about like XYZ Finance or some sort of BSC super copy clone cranking out 10,000% of monetary policy derived incentives that come from inflation. We're talking about the protocols that are the foundation of very sustainable financial systems that we've been dealing with for over a year and a half. That's really Curve. Look, I'm talking about Curve on Polygon and foundationally Curve on Ethereum, which Convex is a derivatives protocol on top of Curve. Man, it's Curve. Everything else is opportunity cost, in my opinion. I have no interest really in Uniswap v3, so that narrative died. So we talked about that for a while. I don't have interest in manually managing my positions. I want a passive investment. And sure, you got what like Visor Finance and Yearn will probably crank some stuff out on top of Uni v3, but I just have no interest. I'm quite dispassionate, meaning like, all right, it's really cool that you can build what you built on Uni v3, but I'm not interested in applying capital to it. And I'm not so interested really in applying capital to like Visor or even Yearn that's tapping a Uni v3 strategy because I want the protocol. I want to minimize counterparties and intermediary contracts. So it's a big reason I've avoided Yearn historically in many regards. It's nice that it auto compounds. It's nice that it does some very powerful functionality, tapping many DeFi protocols in a single position. But I don't really want that. I want simple because simple alleviates risk. Simple is easier to conceptualize and to manage, which is why I've historically had my interest really in the Curve protocol. So there's something that's resonating with me about the way Curve's approaching V2 as compared to the way Uniswap approached V3, particularly with regard to Uniswap saying, hey, third-party providers, you're going to build the strategies. Whereas I'd much rather them build the strategies. And now everything's under one roof. And that simplifies the stack of intermediaries. So Curve resonates much more with me than Uniswap v3. And now their tripool, their new algorithm. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, that solidifies my conviction in CVX CRV cranking out over 100% returns. And it does pique my interest in CVX, but we'll see how that plays out. I mean, at least the CVX Ethereum pool is cranking out ridiculous yield. So as capital flows from underperforming assets to outperforming and from underperforming positions to outperforming. So if the narrative changes, I move the capital around. Maybe I move it back into cash. The cash that I deployed on Curve Polygon was cash. It wasn't assets. I ended up pairing the Ethereum with the CVX I had. Well, I had my Ethereum position, the 32 I said I had, and threw that in the pool. The yield is through the roof. What an opportunity. Let's hit some commentary, boys and girls. Ding, ding. Good again, Noah. On the way home on the train in London, trying Curve these days, all good. It's something to consider. And there's a lot of folks that do positions that I don't have. There's plenty of reason to have capital on Polygon Aave. and doing that strategy that we did a couple weeks ago. That's a wonderful play, particularly the transaction fees are basically zero. You could compound the crap out of things with literally no resistance. You can't do that in Ethereum at 28 Gwei. It's quite expensive for transactions. I was quite enjoying the 12 Gwei, 15 Gwei when it was $30, $40 a transaction. That's a transaction fee that's palatable to me. I don't mind those transaction fees. Um, but when you get up to 28 Gwei, and it's $100, $150 a transaction, I tend to hesitate significantly. I'll only do something if I need to. In fact, I'm running out of spending cash, Ethereum denominated, of course. So, sure, I love Polygon in that regard. Wonderful. But the opportunity cost is there, in my opinion, for the vast majority of my capital, which is why I've chosen to break up and allocate my portfolio accordingly. I couldn't resist deploying the cash I had. I had the cash, and it was sitting making about 18% on Curve Convex. Like, I'm going to throw it on Curve for whatever the heck the yield is, 200%. That's crazy, and that's compounding too. And that's compounding in a way that it's long-term capital gains exposure. Josh is in the house. Gia June. Ding ding. Good afternoon. Sir Joe, present. Alex, yo Noah, would you mind talking about Curve's new concentrated LP? Sure. It's the concept of Uni V3 with concentrated liquidity, but it's dynamically readjusted. So Curve did what Uniswap didn't. What Uniswap has outsourced to third-party implementors. So the whole Uniswap V3 narrative we had a couple weeks back before the Uni V3 launch was that, the opportunity was these third-party providers facilitating the Uni V3 strategies. But Curve went ahead and said, yeah, we don't need third parties. So it's all under one roof. And to top it all off, it literally is just dynamic, meaning all liquidity is concentrated around the current price, which means infinite capital efficiency, which means maximum transaction revenue. That means minimize slippage, minimize impermanent loss, and just it's literally V2. It's it's an optimized LP position in all regards. It minimizes the crap out of all the annoyances we experienced with um, standard balanced pool strategy or implementations. Now it's not full impermanent loss protection like the monetary policy of Bancor. Now that's another story because Bancor achieved that vis-a-vis integration with its monetary policy, where there's inflation that's used to accommodate impermanent loss, and then they have a deflationary component to prevent debasement, considering how inflation's being used. So that's an extraordinary monetary policy. I still retain my Bancor position. Mark Cuban's interested in Bancor. I like them. Now it's an extraordinarily volatile asset, but it's a small percent of the portfolio. It's 2%, but very comfortable with that position, especially the size. I don't mind it going up and down significantly, but I love exposure to that kind of monetary policy. They've piqued my interest overwhelmingly from an implementation standpoint and their ideology and their logic and the team and Nate Hinman. I love those guys. What a wonderful team. They've been in this for years, years and years. Wonderful product. Brilliant people. But there's too much opportunity cost, in my opinion, with the volatility of the principal asset, BNT, and the quantity of yield. So I must apply capital elsewhere in the majority. Sure, I got my minority plays, but anyway, plenty of minority plays. So never go all in, never spread too thin. But when you see something that's the play, that's where you take a significant portion of your capital and allocate accordingly, in my opinion. And that's like Buffett ideology. So, and I've got quite the conviction and quite content with how I've allocated capital currently to the point where I haven't been making many transactions. 95% of the portfolio hasn't moved, and I can't even remember how long. I haven't touched this stuff in 95% of the portfolio I haven't touched probably since last year. Asset asset wise, meaning the number of assets, uh, number of dollar equivalent. Sure, I've reallocated a significant amount of capital, but like if I have 25 assets, 23 of them haven't touched. Those positions are Very comfortable for myself. Div, greetings from winter. I don't know about that winter. I'm down in Florida. It's palm trees, but I appreciate it. I used to go snowboarding up in Vermont when I was in my youth. Those were the good old days. And, Mount Snow in Killington. It was wonderful. Mixed apples. Glizzy, what's your thoughts on Chain Link? Systemically meaningful. I love Link. I just too much opportunity cost holding a position. King of Crypto One Startups Quest to Take Cryptocurrency out of Silicon Valley onto Wall Street by Jeff John Roberts is a great book that discusses these financial issues. Good reading can never hurt. Thank you. Well done, my friend. If there's any good points, feel welcome to point them out, please. Do you see new pool? Did you see new pool on Curve Polygon? Yes, that's what I mentioned. I applied capital to on Curve Polygon. Carpe diem, try pool risk, same as any other pool, my friend. Good morning. Just finished catching up on your last few months of vids. Good job, bro. You definitely have the gift of gab and obviously pride yourself in effective speech. Thank you for the content. It's a pleasure and thank you for joining. I want to help. And as I talk to you guys, I also help myself. So the only way to learn is to share ideas and to get feedback. And the more we do that, by me talking here and you guys typing, and we also do it in the Discord forum, the better all of our ideas and the better all of our understanding will be of these markets. It's cumulative. Jonathan, hey Noah, I've been listening to you since the interview with Taiki. Honestly, some of the best content I've seen so far. I had a question about Tripool. How's the base APY paid out? Compounded. Compounds. That's how base APY is paid out. So basically, it's really tax friendly from a long term capital gains perspective. Kenji, good morning, friends. Always a pleasure. Ali, enjoying your channel and thank you for sharing your wisdom. It's a pleasure and an honor every day, day in, day out. This is what I look forward to talking to you guys on a daily basis. Tyler, any thoughts on the Polygon Bridge and multi-sig security? Yeah, not much. There's too much vested interest. I mean, the India narrative is just extraordinary. What these kids in India built, they are basically national heroes. And they're going to start, and they are, not start, they're influencing an entire generation of software engineers. Um, Inspirational. I'm inspired. I'm inspired by their creation and the inspiration they are providing for their population. India narrative is extraordinary. Probably the most interesting narrative, in my opinion, more than China and the BSN, and maybe even a little bit more inspirational than Ethereum as the global monetary network. Just extraordinary what they're doing. Those three boys. Garcia, no, can you talk about your thoughts on BTC USD shorts on TradingView? Yeah, I don't have much interest in shorting or longing. I have no interest in derivative products, and I don't hold any spot. My opinion is that all capital belongs on a balance sheet and should be deployed as working capital generating revenue. The entire approach that I have to the crypto space is different than 1718. It's different than any period in time in history. I model my operation like a business. If I'm able to increase my weekly revenue, that is the goal. If my revenue decreases, I consider moving capital around just like a business operation. I can have capital on the balance sheet that I use to take on a debt position. So I increase maybe borrowed cash capital on the balance sheet. So total value on the balance sheet is a combination of principal and debt positions. What do you think a pizza shop does when they go to the bank to get a business loan so they can expand their business? They now have assets, their property, the business itself, and debt on their balance sheet as working capital. Same exact thing that I'm doing. It's digital. That I have literally no rent. I have no employees. The complete responsibility of all those legacy components has been alleviated. I've disintermediated business. I've disintermediated banking infrastructure and financial services. I am the bank. I'm providing liquidity and market making functionality. facilitating transactions. I own a part of a Forex market. That's just extraordinary. um, uh, Francesc, my man. Hi, thanks for sharing your knowledge. Just starting dabbling on Polygon yesterday. I'm in. Well, you got cheap transactions, which basically free transactions, which basically means you can experiment and find what you're comfortable with. Now, I strongly encourage anyone, if they're not comfortable, you use dollars. Dollars, 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 dollars. You put dollars on Aave, you borrow some dollars on Aave, you put some dollars on Curve, you work in dollars until you find your comfort zone. If you're not comfortable deploying dollars in these type of strategies, you're not going to be comfortable with assets. Therefore, you will not be able to let them sit and do their job. And if you're doing your job right, you won't have to do much at all. You will have to do very little work. And Antonio, totally agree. Greg, hi Noah. Your episode about S Corp was about as good as it gets, bro. What a world you have helped create. So I'm very conflicted about corporate status and structure, and if there's any advantages I'll have. So I'm still digging. I applied for an S corp, so I have S corp documentation coming in the mail, and registration, so on and so forth. Maybe I just dissolve it, but or maybe I execute on it. I bought the business software and everything that I would need to manage the balance sheet and do the tax reporting and all that stuff. I spent a couple bucks. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, I mean, a minimum, I guess I could write myself a 1099, and now I could itemize my deductions and claim a variety of deductions against the business. So that's something to consider. So I'm trying to think about whether it's worth it because there's also time involved in actually doing all that accounting. And unless there's a benefit, I'm not going to do it. So interestingly, last year was there's not much. It didn't take much capital out of the crypto markets, so it was relatively simple accounting. But this year, with the ideology that's evolved in my mind, there's a lot more capital probably that I'm going to be taken out of crypto space as salary. So I'm going to have to account for that from a tax perspective. You know, that the cash that I extract to a bank account, it's going to have to pay capital gains tax, um, which entails how do I optimize that? Sure, capital gains from heck, I could cut myself a W-2. Um, but if I cut myself a 1099 and I employ myself as a contractor, then I have a 1099, which means I could deduct all expenses associated with business operations, which basically means my entire internet connection, electricity associated with my computers, the real estate space, the portion of my housing associated with my business operation, which is my home office, my vehicle, which I need in order to do business, in order to interact with my colleagues and travel to and from places that are related to my business operation. So it's fascinating what you could do from a 1099 perspective. And the fact is, I could cut myself a 1099 with an S Corp or a C Corp or whatever Corp. I don't know. I'm doing my due diligence and I'm seeing what I can do. How does impermanent loss work on Curve's new V2 pool? Minimized. Impermanent loss is minimized. Slippage is minimized. Yield is maximized. It's still a pool that has balance to it. So it's I've never had a problem with impermanent loss. Folks, just if you want pure exposure, have pure exposure. But I don't see like that. That's not beneficial to me. Uh, if you're holding spot, expecting the asset to appreciate, are you really going to sell the asset when it appreciates? If you're thinking about trying to make as much appreciation of your assets as possible, I think that's a wasted opportunity and it's an opportunity cost. I think it's a red herring. I think it's a false flag, a false narrative. I think it's a failed narrative. If you have 5 Bitcoin or however many Bitcoin you have, when Bitcoin goes to $100,000, $500,000, $1 million, if you sell the Bitcoin, no, that's not what you do. That's not how you do it. The point being, in the end, all that matters is work. And if you can put your assets to work and generate a salary, you have a business. So I don't really care much for impermanent loss. I know the assets will appreciate over time, but the pools that have properties are generating my business income. So we need reprogramming. That's what I think. It's a huge change in the last day. Well, just look at the chart. What chart? Which chart, my friend? What were you saying? Oh, let's look at the charts. I only have three charts up. I have curved dollars, $2.38. Ethereum versus Bitcoin, which has been getting crushed a bit. So Bitcoin has been outperforming Ethereum. I have Ethereum. So I'm only, from now on, I'm only looking at Ethereum and Bitcoin on the weekly. So we're above the 0.5, which is nice. Let's go to the daily and get some numbers. No, it's a 0.382. So this chart looks fine. That's a nice wedge. Sim triangle above the 0.382, right down the pipe. Nice wicks down. And this is above the 0.5 on the daily. That's the 0.5 right there. I don't know. These numbers look fine to me. I love it. Cass, hire an accountant worth every penny. So, sure. I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about that indeed. Killis, amazing time we live in. Good stuff. Good stuff. What books about monetary velocity do you recommend for getting the big picture? No books. Realvision.com. It requires a subscription, but it's worth every penny. Missed the fight, Mick Oz. No, we don't fight. Greg, paid like an accountant. So yeah, so I can employ myself as an accountant if I do my corporate taxes. Maybe that's the entire business I need, but I'm also a financial manager, financial planner for the corporation. So I can provide myself a couple of salaries, or I could just take corporate dispersals, or whatever they call it. Or I could just hire myself as a 1099 contractor that does miscellaneous work and janitorial services. I don't know. I don't know what an accountant. I have to speak to an accountant, or maybe I just do my own due diligence and I become an accountant. I mean, if I hire myself an accountant, technically I'm employed as an accountant. Corporate structure, this whole business shit that this country has done for the last God knows how long is so ridiculous. What a waste. Corporate, and you realize that corporations are looked on as literally the same as a person with a tax ID. Might as well, that's just absurd what this country has created, what all of them around the world have created. Mark, hi. Have you noticed new pool on Kerr? Also Polygon. Well, yeah, it's what we've been talking about, my friend. It's the try pool, and I like it very much. I threw cash in on Polygon. No, he keeps saying Indian narrative, making it sound like it's coming from the country of government. They're just a couple of kids who happen to be from India. That's the point. A narrative means a story, the India story. And this is a significant story that pertains to the entire country of India, an entire region of the world, a billion plus of population. And right now, three people in that country have built a multi-billion dollar operation. They have so many moving parts going on right now and interactions with many teams around the world. And they're inspiring an entire country of adolescent, middle aged, whatever, software engineers that want to attempt to achieve similar outcomes, or they're now seeking opportunity. And they're going to build on the Polygon network. I mean, literally, a fire has been launched for an entire country of opportunity. So that's the Indian narrative. Um, that we now call Polygon. The whole idea of crypto is borderless, decentralization. Well, it's not just India, but this is just like the way I describe a narrative. It's like a beacon of hope and inspiration, and that's the Indian narrative. And that narrative is applicable to the rest of the world. I'm inspired by what they built. That's the point. That's the point. If I'm inspired, you can imagine hard-working kids stuck in a silly $8,000 a year programming job, $4,000 or whatever it is. It's tiny compared to what we make in the States. Right now, there's an opportunity available to them to build incredible things. Um, because no, India from a government. No, that's not the Indian narrative. I don't. I don't think about it like that, and that's not the story I've been telling. I think the sovereigns at the government level are ridiculous, and they'll be inhibitory of the India narrative. So I don't consider them the India narrative. I consider them probably against the India narrative, or trying to regulate it and control it and tax it and jam it into the legacy system. So BTC USD shorts. Oh, is that a ticker? Okay, let's take a look real quick. So people are betting that the market will go down. This is, you know what this is? This is an opportunity for someone to take a massive spot position and completely collapse. This is the opportunity of the inverse of what we just had a couple weeks back. All we need is a large spot position to come in, and Bitcoin's going to rip to 50, 60, $70,000 in a day. That's what this is. This is a setup of a massive, massive short squeeze. Wow. Extraordinary. Bullish. That's my opinion. They're leaning short. When the whole market was set up long, is there a BTC USD longs? Beautiful. Let's take a look. Oh, longs have been going up as well, but it's not as skewed. So was this the collapse? April 25th? No. I don't know. I wish I could see how many longs were crushed in the 3 weeks ago when the market contracted 4 weeks ago. Um, Jasir, Mike, deprogramming then reprogramming. That's right. BTC USD shorts. I went over that, my friend. What do you think about the lecture published on Uniswap using Plutus Pioneer program? I do not know about it to speak about it. What makes you say India will build on Polygon network? I don't think there is any evidence, to be honest. No, it's not an assumption. That's my narrative. That's my speculation. That's my story. That's the story I'm telling, my friend. That's how I see the markets. And that's what I believe will occur across person's psychology throughout the country. If I was young and saw three entrepreneurs build what they built, my inspiration and desire to build something incredible would be through the roof. And I say that and I tell this story because I feel that. That's the way I feel right now. And I can only imagine that thought amplified across an entire country of hardworking kids that all they want is an opportunity. Where is the CDX? I don't know. Oh, so CDX, Convex Ethereum Liquidity Pool. Just go to Convex and it's on their claim, one of their pages. It's on Sushi. I heard it. It's like 170% APY right now. Crazy. I heard an interview from founder last week. They're saying people in India barely understand use of recognized crypto. The VCs are only starting to gain interest. Public is so far behind. Yes, but my narrative is still the same. The story I tell is still the same. Mario, CVX Ethereum pool on where? Sushi. Heisberg, Plutus Pioneer program made by the IOHK team under Charles. What are they building on Uniswap? Good. So if they could get a product that actually makes sense for people to deploy capital to, that'd be nice. If there's an opportunity, I'm going to deploy capital to it. I deploy capital to things that have the potential to outperform and are an opportunity. So I'd love to deploy capital there. I would love Cardano to actually launch and actually have some sort of opportunity. You need the bridges, you need the contracts, you need the DeFi protocols and DApps and so on and so forth, and the liquidity and the velocity. So as of right now, there's literally no reason whatsoever that I could see logically to deploy capital to anything related to Cardano. Just be wasting my money and destroying my business. I'd have no revenue whatsoever. I need revenue. Need that money coming in. Otherwise, if just stagnant equity and just equity just sitting there doing absolutely nothing, I'm sorry, but we could do better. Garth, thanks for your perspective. Hope you're having a wonderful day. South Africa, baby. Woo! A beautiful country. Do you have any investments in remittance plays, either with Stellar or Telcoin? Zero interest whatsoever, unless I could own a percentage or portion of all remittances across the network. That I'd buy. If I could have a position in, 0.1% of all Stellar's remittances worldwide, or Telcoin's remittances worldwide, boom, now we're talking. But if I can't own a percentage of the remittances, I have absolutely no interest whatsoever in those assets. I want a part of the business. I want the revenue stream. That's what I have. I own a part of all transaction fees on the current platform. That's extraordinary. There's no revenue sharing program on Uniswap. That's it. I mean, literally, Curve is a dividend bearing instrument. That's crazy. Being from India, I see this story as getting publicity and will spread to inspire people. That's the whole point, Garish. That's my whole point. And that's my story that I'm seeing from what I speculate will play out. I mean, come on. If I was in college and I'm like, I got to enter the workforce and I got to make whatever I'm going to make, and then I see these three boys create something extraordinary that has traction and capital in the tune of billions of dollars flowing into it, I would be on fire with and giddy and excited to participate and build on the platform to explore my opportunities and what I could do. And man, it only seems rational and logical to think that over time, this story is going to spread like wildfire throughout the minds and hit the hopes and the dreams of an entire generation of software engineers that can do better. Man, that's an inspirational couple of sentences. Gets me pumped. Woo! Was that like what's his name in The Big Short? Jack to the tits. Woo! Man, I love that movie. I could watch that movie all the time. All right, let's wrap this up. It's a nice talk. Disintermediation. We got the whole financial stack. I'm going direct. I'm the bank. I don't need a bank. Period. I don't need to pay anyone fees. Nobody gets my fees. Nobody gets my capital unless I choose right the gas fees. That's warranted. I'm not going to pay a middleman. I'm not going to pay a broker. I'm not going to pay someone to hold my capital. I'm not going to pay anyone. It's my capital. J.G. Wentworth. It's my capital. I'll do what I want with it. Wave. Mind looking at the tripool and Polygon? Maybe it's just a bug, but it's no longer showing deposits. Curve? Tripool? All right, let's take a look real quick. Let's take a look. A little tech support action. Of course, it's a UI bug. The capital's fine. Ethereum mainnet, Polygon. Boop, boop, boop. One more refresh. Let's take a peek. Let's take a peek and see what's going on. Got plenty of capital. $39 million. I have about 213 grand in there. I own 0.5% of the pool, which is nice. Let's see how much capital this thing's cranking out. 219% on base APY. That's capital efficiency, boys and girls. Woo! Oh my goodness. That's extraordinary. I'm about to take my CVX Ethereum position and break off the Ethereum and throw it over to Polygon. Especially with gas prices going up to 42, or maybe I shouldn't because that's going to be an expensive transaction. Probably cost me $200 to get that capital over there. Wow, that's an incredible capital efficiency. That is a testament. Incredible yield. Wow. Thoughts on Polygon centralization worries? I don't really give too many thoughts to it, my friend. When do you expect from the FOMC meeting? Expect to increase rates? I don't expect them to increase rates. Powell said they're not increasing rates for a couple of years. Personally, with 130% debt to GDP, um, if they tighten even a basis point, they're going to collapse the entire stock market. And then they'll have a humanitarian crisis for the retirement population. So if they taper, we'll have a deflationary implosion. If we continue QE, or dare we actually print capital and actually achieve meaningful inflation, structural inflation, we'll probably just keep heading down the road of hyperinflation. Already at 5% of the CPI. These numbers are extraordinary. I'm paying like 25% more for meat products. I'm not even going to buy meat anymore. I'm done with this shit. I'm done playing their game. I'm done playing their game. For all of history, they're in control and we have to play by their rules. No, now I'm in control. I'm the bank. I'm done with them. I'm done with this shit. 38, I've been playing by their rules my entire life. It's time for my rules. It's time for the millennials and the Gen Z. It's time for new politics. It's time for a new way of life. It's time for a new way to operate. I'm done. Done. Miss Hacker, love the knowledge and appreciate the insight as always, Noah. Just hope you consider crypto options soon. I don't have a card. Elaborate? Don't have a card. Credit. Oh, I pinged them. Miss Hacker, I pinged the launch pass. They're taking the feedback. They're. It's not for me. I would love a crypto option. You think I wouldn't accept DAI, USDC, GUSD? Come on, that's wonderful. So I pinged the team who handles that software, and they're going to look into it. Come on, yeah, I'd probably be able to double with the subscribers with a crypto payment option. Um, so that's in their best interest to do that. Andy, if you go to withdrawal, you'll see your balance is still in there. That's right. Stacking, it won't last 219. They're just profiting on people entering the pool after you. Obviously, drop as it normalizes. Profiting on the pool entering after. Well, it doesn't work like that necessarily. You know why it doesn't work like that? I'll show you. 37% utilization. That is massive. The amount of transactions going through this pool is massive. Just bear in mind, this is hooked into 1inch. And it's probably hooked into Paraswap and QuickSwap at this point, probably, speculatively. But 37% capital flowing through a $39 million pool. Yeah, this is a heck of a percent yield that has nothing to do with people entering the pool after we entered. No, this utilization rate is what's driving these yields. That's an extraordinary utilization rate. Thank you for your time. As always, Noah, hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you, Wave. You have a good one. Miss Hacker, that's amazing. Hope to join soon. I'm trying my best. I'm always here, and I look forward to seeing you on the stream. And we have a heck of a community. Everyone is so wonderful, and everyone's helping everyone. I really enjoy it every day that I get to provide commentary and feedback and help folks, because I know other folks are there helping other people, and I really appreciate that everyone likes my ideology and my methodology. That means a lot. And I hope it helps. I hope it makes a difference, because doing things the same way everyone's been doing them for the last 100 years, it's a waste of effort and a waste of time. And you're giving money to all the damn intermediaries. It's time to disintermediate the crap out of the system. It's your money. It's your capital. You worked hard for it. You can make your money. You don't have to give it to other people. Put your money to work, start a business, and the business is digital. Provide liquidity, be a market maker, lend. Lend to over collateralized debtors, so your lent capital is secured by an over collateralization of the debt position. This is real. This is business. Stake your claim. It does, because most people are entering single sided, so it has to trade into. No, but that has to do with their slippage. That has nothing to do with the amount of yield that we're making on the platform itself. The yield is purely derived from transaction fee revenue. Um, Thank you, Henry. You have a wonderful one. Uh, Johnny, hey Noah, finally streaming in my time zone. Any thoughts on Insure? Not to my knowledge. I don't have any knowledge of it. Henry, you say you don't worry about prices, but worried on cash flow. I have Matic and Ethos collateral on Aave at 2.5 health factor in case of a black swan event and a drop of 50%. Well, what's pertinent is your health factor, meaning how much you borrowing, and if your principal drops significantly, you're going to have to maintain your collateralization, your health factor. Means have cash on hand. So what I like to do is if I have assets on Aave and let's say I borrow like a quarter mil, I'll have a quarter mil in cash also on Aave. So that'll basically eliminates the potential for liquidation because I literally have the borrow cash there. So the borrow capital is generating returns, the deposited cash is generating returns, and I don't know, just food for thought. There's a whole lot of configurations that could be done, and managing the health factor is not so easy, but it could also be easy. So the whole important thing is that make it easy. This should be passive. Your business should be able to operate unto itself with very little interaction. Oh, you guys are still going. A couple more questions and I'll wrap this up. What's the easiest way to get WBTC and WF on the curve? Thanks for all your help. Um, well, curve on Ethereum or Polygon. Well, WBTC is Bitcoin, so Bitcoin has to go through probably the WBTC Cafe or the Ren Bridge to Ren BTC and then to WBTC. Um, and WF is just Ethereum. When you put it on the Polygon, it's just Ethereum. It'll automatically wrap it. So it depends on the network. Depends on a lot of things. I wouldn't operate on Ethereum considering these gas prices, meaning even I am resistant to executing such transactions. At 44 Gwei that guys see right now, that's gonna be like $150 transaction. Very expensive. But on Polygon, it's a fraction of a penny. Um, how would you recommend starting on Curve? Cash. If you are inexperienced with these protocols and the capacity to lend and to borrow, to take on debt, to manage capital, you need to stick to cash. Cash will carry the least risk, and you need to understand health factors and collateralization ratios and managing debt and not taking excess risk. And don't take risk with your debt. Borrow cash, deploy cash, make money with your cash. If you take your cash, you borrowed cash, and you buy an asset, an asymmetrically appreciating asset, you're going long. Or if you borrow an asset and you sell it, you're going short. And that basically that's risk, and I would never advocate for that. So operating cash to gain a sense of these protocols and how they work, which means dollars, 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 dollars. To understand that's your education. Take $50 and that's it, and understand the buttons to click and how these systems work. It's an experiment. I would never advocate anyone to deploy capital without understanding how these systems work. And if I ever advocate to deploy capital, start with cash. Shouldn't be buying assets. It is not easy to deal with the volatility. It's not easy to stomach it, to understand it, to have conviction regarding the allocation of capital, time horizons involved in these protocols, so on and so forth. If I watch 50% of my portfolio evaporate into nothing, I'm okay. Because if I'm making $5,000 a week and my portfolio just got cut in half, and because of the volume of transactions, now I'm making 7 grand a week, that's a hell of a week. Food for thought, boys and girls. Food for thought. Well, what do you think about Zero Expo Launchpad? I don't know anything about it, my friend. Henry, you're very welcome. Last question. How? Seeing a lot of chatter on Twitter. Abracadabra, what do you think of yield tokens as collateral to borrow? That'd be crazy. If I could take my Curve LP tokens and deposit them on Aave to take on debt, wow. Wow, 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 wow. Let's wrap up the stream. 116 people in the stream, 45 likes. We can do better. 12:25 p.m. on a Thursday, June 10th. As always, I thank everyone for joining. The party goes on all day on Discord. I wish you all a wonderful day and reach out with any questions. We're all here. Everyone is here to help the best they can. I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.